Come with me, and you'll be on episode 179 of American Reveille. It's another episode about the Great Reset. My friend, how are you? I missed you. It's been all week since I've seen you, and I've come here to talk to you all about the Great Reset today, especially some concerning items that Joe Biden brought up in his speech about the infrastructure bill that unfortunately passed, being that $100 billion of it is infrastructure. And, like the other $900 billion goes to turning this country into a socialist heck hole. I said heck hole. That's right. I'm trying to get on AM radio. I haven't looked at the FCC guidelines. I don't know if I can talk about the double hockey sticks yet, but I'm excited. I don't know if you've noticed. I don't know if you've seen. I've got some new equipment here. I've got this Shure SM7B microphone. It's expensive. It's very nice. It makes my voice all warm and tingly. I got a little bit more equipment coming as well. We had some very, very nice donations over the weekend. So to my fans, thank you so much for your undying support. You make this show better every single day. And speaking of the show, I was up early today. I've been working on the show all day, hours and hours and hours of literally staring at paper, looking at articles, listening, reading, everything that I could do to come to you with as much information as possible, because we're going to do something very interesting today. Very interesting. You know, I actually had to drive this morning in the rain to get coffee. All right. Well, not really coffee, but caffeine. I can't drink coffee right now. I'm getting stomach surgery in January. And the coffee, not the caffeine necessarily, but the flavor of the coffee itself makes me vomit. I love coffee, so don't go too crazy. Well, I don't love it. I like black coffee. But hey, I don't want to throw up. So I've been addicted. I've been getting addicted to these drinks that these young folks are drinking, these foo-foo pink energy drink induced mixtures over at these little coffee shops. I had to stop door dashing. I door dashed once or twice. All right. I gave it a shot. I threw the card in there, did what I had to do through the phone, and we're looking at $12, $13, $15, $16 for like a little mixed energy drink. So I got my lazy butt up and I drove in the rain and I went and got what's called a liquid sunset. And they put a squirt of guava in there. And they put a squirt of orange stuff in there. And they put a squirt of lemonade in there. And then they take two of these cans and they go. And then I'm jumping around the house and wondering if I'm going to fall into cardiac arrest. But thankfully, I didn't fall into cardiac arrest. And I also didn't get ripped off by DoorDash today. And I wasn't so lazy. So it's the little victories that count. I feel better about myself. I was able to get out of the house for 5 or 10 minutes, other than working on everything else that I work for. But there's a lot going on. There really is a lot going on. I may be addicted to these energy drinks. I think that's an issue. I think they put something in the Red Bulls. All right. Something akin to crack cocaine, because I want one right now. But there's something else that I'm addicted to. All right. There's something else I'm addicted to. And that's the truth. And the truth is that there really is a lot going on right now. Isn't there? We've got the Rittenhouse trial. It looks like we're winning tremendously there. That's pretty awesome, right? We know that the judge struck down being able to call the people that Rittenhouse shot, the people that he killed, the pedophiles that he killed, rightfully so. Good for them. And good for Kyle. He should be given a medal. But they're not allowed to be called victims. They can be called rioters. They can be called looters. There's a lot of good stuff coming out of that. I really think that Rittenhouse is going to walk, and then, the left is going to burn down the country again. Things are not, they're not getting easier anytime soon. The vaccine mandate was halted by a federal judge. A federal judge halted the vaccine mandate. But how is this going to play out? We just released an article from Kinsley Kurtz on AmericanReveille.com, Reveille, and it talks a little bit about the judge doing this. But before it even gets into that, She brings up an interview with somebody, let's call her Jan. Her name was changed for her protection. There's all kinds of evidence, all kinds of stuff coming out of the Mayo Clinic and companies across this country where people are not only being discriminated by the company, but they're also being bullied. They're also being kicked around. It's not good stuff at all. So if you want to read that article, check out the website right now. They had the stampede at that rap concert in Houston. When was the last time you heard about a stampede? Like it's the Lion King, right? When was the last time you heard about that? This isn't a good thing. You know, the guy, I forgot his name. You know, I should have written it down, but I forgot his name. Yeah, it's not even going to come to me and I'm not going to waste your time. But the guy that's singing, the rap guy that this whole thing is based around, he's known for telling people to rush the stage. He's known for telling people to jump the barriers. There were reports coming out of this concert in Houston that people were being injected in the throat with needles. People were on drugs. Like 20, 30, 40,000 people, some crazy amount of people rushed the stage and people were getting crushed to death. This is the United States of America. You want to know how far we've come since Biden became president? We have stampedes, ladies and gentlemen. Stampedes, something you would not associate with a concert. And do you know what happened when people were getting crushed underneath the feet of these stampeders? I can tell you what happened. What were they doing? They were dancing. They were dancing on the bodies of the dead. The cops couldn't get in. What a nightmare. 2021, we have a stampede. $450,000 to illegal immigrants. Right? Peter Doocy asked Biden about that the other day. Biden says that's nonsense. That's garbage. Stop giving us garbage. Doocy reiterates. He goes, Biden, come on, man. What do you mean that's garbage? You're saying this is a garbage bill? Biden goes, yeah, garbage. What happens? It gets backtracked. And he says, oh, I never said that. A previous administration, these people, they lost their kids. Anybody deserves some kind of compensation when they lose their kid. Well, what if they come over the border and they bring their kids and they put their kids in a horribly risky situation? What if because of their fault, I know if there's any lefties listening, this is very hard to hear, but what if because of their own decision making, their own choices, what if it's their fault that their poor child never got a shot at life? And now we're going to give them $450,000. We can barely pay our bills. When was the last time you filled up at the gas tank? When was the last time you went and bought a steak? When was the last time you went and had some pizza? Have you looked at the price of Oreos lately? Things are only going to get harder. But that's okay. The illegals will be taken care of. The $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill passed, like I said a couple of minutes ago, it's only $100 billion towards actual infrastructure. The other $1.1 trillion goes to converting this country into a green, energy economy, into a socialist blueprint, into a Trojan horse per se for socialism. All right. He may not have gotten all the money thus far, and we haven't gotten to November 15th with the Build Back Better plan. And that's something, this whole episode's about that. All right. This whole episode is about that, my friend. You're going to get to sit here with me. We're going to have this conversation, and I'm going to build a connection for you, and it's going to blow your mind. It's going to just blow your mind. But there's more excitement. All right. We're going to get through a couple more little things here. The conservative Great Awakening. Can we call it that? The conservative Great Awakening? What's that look like? That looks like Virginia, right? That looks like New Jersey, right? That looks like Ed Durr Jr., the trucker in New Jersey who took out the Senate president for the state. This guy's been in politics since the early 2000s. This guy spent $150, kicked him right out of there. Will he concede? No. Why won't he concede? What do you know? The Democrat found something like 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 ballots in the middle of the night. So we'll see what happens with that over the next couple days. And then, of course, we have Igor Danchenko's arrest. Yes, comrade, Igor Danchenko. You know him as the guy that supplied the information that went into the dossier, I believe. That's how that sequence goes. That went and got the FISA warrants to spy on the Trump campaign. And it was all funded by the Clintons. And, it looks like Durham, the snail tortoise, beautiful bald man that he is. I have to say that I'm bald as well. I hope he does his job. It seems like he is. We're climbing up the ladder, climbing up the ladder. Who is next? Could it be Peter Strzok? Maybe Hillary? Gosh, I would love to see Hillary Clinton in handcuffs. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? I have a feeling like, what if Trump over the next 4 years, 3 years, whatever, is redeemed, right? I know between you and me, we know the truth. But the world doesn't know the truth. The world was lied to. They were lied to about Russian collusion. They were lied to about so many things. But what if over the next few years, Durham does his job? People go to jail. Lock her up is a real thing. Let's Go Brandon is a real thing. The movement grows. And the general public, the people that were told to hate Trump, are told that everything that they were ever told was a lie. Not told by us, but proven in the court all the way up if it has to go. That would be a beautiful thing. And then Trump comes in 2024 and sweeps everything to victory, right? We win the 2022 House. We go right. I mean, it could be glorious if the right pieces move on the right chessboard at the right time. You know, it doesn't always work like that. I'm not expecting everything like that to happen, but I can imagine a scenario where Trump, in the eyes of the common general public who were lied to, who were gullible, who were brainwashed, susceptible to that subliminal messaging and that direct propaganda, if those people all of a sudden woke up, what a glorious 2024 it would be when retribution would be at hand, when we would go in and systematically dismantle every single one of these institutions and rebuild them from the ground up. So anyway, we're going to keep going, but we're not going to ramble so much. I wanted to get a couple headlines out. Wanted you to know what's going on. I'm going to get a sip of this water here. I heard your complaints, by the way. I got emails from you, and you told me that you couldn't stand the sound of the water. All right, you couldn't stand the sound of the water. So I stopped putting ice in it. I got this straw. You see what I'm doing? Look at this. Look at what I do for you. Everything that I do for you. I got this glass. I got a pink straw here to go with this pink number pad, this pink keyboard, and this pink mouse. You seen a pattern yet? Don't ask any questions. It's not what you think. Listen. All right, listen. There's clues out there, folks. There's a lot of clues. There's clues that link Biden. There's clues that link the cabal. There's clues that link Clinton. And there's clues that link Jeffrey Epstein. And the first clues were given away the other day by Joe Biden himself. I call those out. I'm going to tell you about them. They all lead back to the front man. And who is the front man of the global elite? Well, Jeffrey Epstein himself. This is going to be a very interesting episode. But first, I want you to do me a favor. I really want you to do me a favor. I need you to do me a favor right now. Whether you're watching, whether you're listening, head over to www.americanreveille.com. That's REVEILLE.com. And bookmark the page, guys. Bookmark the page. And then there's a little tab on the top there. It says newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter. As you know, I'm shadow banned everywhere. They actually kicked me off Parler the other day. I'm shadow banned on Facebook. I'm banned for 30 days, every 30 days for the last 6-7 months on Facebook. I don't even have to talk and I get banned on Facebook. No explanation. So a lot of people theorize we're doing something very, very right over here at American Reveille. We've had tons of amazing articles come out, tons. And we've got 4 or 5 more, even as I'm talking right now on this show. All right, just right in the pipeline coming out. Monday is going to be stacked. Tonight's going to be stacked. It's all good in the hood, brother. And you're going to be our guest. You're going to enjoy it because I really, really weeded through this, looked at everything. Everything we're putting out is quality. It's such quality. It's just as good. You could go to Bongino.com. You could go to DailyWire.com and you see where their money's coming from. You see what they've had to do. You see the path they've forged, right? But you don't always see a different perspective. You don't always see a different point of view. You don't always see the point of view from the average, everyday, blue collar American patriot. A conservative like you, like me, somebody walking down the street, the last $5 in their pocket, trying to figure out whether they should get Taco Bell or put a little bit of gas in their tank. Listen, I love the big guys, but the big guys don't always have that perspective. When you come to American Reveille, you get the perspective, you get the writing, you get the entertainment, you get the thoughts, you get the speech, you get everything from the everyday American, from your brothers and sisters walking among you, the voices that you don't hear every day because they are being silenced. You will hear them, you will see them, you will read them at AmericanReveille.com. That's REVEILLE.com. If you're listening to this show on Apple Podcasts, do me a favor, please give me that 5-star rating. Please write a review down there. And if you do listen to AM radio, call up your local station, your local talk radio station, find the program manager's number and let them know you want to hear American Reveille with James Lane. As we've talked about on previous episodes, that's a venture we're going to delve into. I believe that the way to beat the censorship is through old tech. So we are branching out into AM radio, and it's going to be glorious. Trust me, there's a lot of equipment coming, a lot of new stuff for the set. The next couple weeks, the next couple months are going to be very exciting. Very, very exciting. And I'm so happy that you're a part of it with me. I really, really, really am. So anyway, let's see where we are. All right, we're on segment 1, my friends. Follow the money to find Joe Biden's puppet masters. All right. Joe Biden's puppet masters. You heard me right. So who could Joe Biden's puppet masters be? I mean, Joe Biden, he's not smart enough to be making the decisions he's making on his own, is he? I don't think he is. Is he smart enough to fake dementia so he doesn't go to prison when this is over? Maybe if he survives his term. He is old and frail. But this whole thing about Joe Biden just being some dumb, unwitting person, I don't think that's very true. I think Joe Biden's a player in the game. I just don't think he's at the top of the card. I think he's a mid-card fighter, maybe. I think maybe he's taking the cuts, making the pay. He's a con man, just like Hunter, like father, like son. They are shisty car salesmen. They are con men. They are snake oil salesmen. Come one, come all. Hunter and Joe's Biden extraordinaire. Buy your votes here. Your global reset there. New world order for sale, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful apartments right on the beautiful coasts of Iraq. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, if you are listening to me, then you obviously are seeking the truth. And the truth is that if you follow me, this rabbit hole goes much deeper than you think. All right. This all leads to the Great Reset. And if you've never heard of the Great Reset in a nutshell sounds pretty crazy. A couple years ago, you would have looked at me and you would have said, James Lane, you're a conspiracy theorist. James Lane, you're out of your mind. James Lane, you need to go to the loony bin. But no, you're going to listen to this and you're going to go, yeah, that sounds like it could be true, because it is. There's too much evidence. All right. The Great Reset is this thing. They say it just happened, but it's years old in the making. A bunch of companies, a bunch of businesses, a bunch of different corporations, countries, world leaders, everything all around the world, the global elite themselves, the Davos crowd, the George Soroses, all of these folks, right? They come together and they say, hey, man, this world is screwed up and we got to fix it. Well, that's what they tell you that they're saying. What they're actually saying is we're in danger of getting discovered. That's right, folks. You only will hear it here on American Reveille. Nobody else is going to say what I'm about to tell you. We're in danger of being discovered. We're super rich elites and we like to do bad things with kids. That is what's happening. Biden doesn't just sniff people because he's bored. Biden sniffs people because he likes to sniff people, ladies and gentlemen. And so do tons and tons of wealthy elites. Now, not all wealthy people are elites. There are plenty of elite wealthy folks out there on their mega yachts. There are plenty of Microsoft CEOs. There are plenty of Google CEOs. There are plenty of international sultans and shahs and all kinds of folks with their hands in this. All right. The main thing that's really happening, right, is they're saying that they need to redistribute the wealth, right? The planet, there's climate change. Oh no. And if we don't do something, everything's going to 2030, the whole world's going to explode. Oh, woe is me. Oh, everything's falling apart. People are starving, super tornadoes, COVID-19, all of these things are happening and they've exposed this terrible thing. And what is this terrible thing? Oh, the world is an unequal place. The bad things happen around the world. Oh my gosh. You mean reality? Yeah, that thing called reality. They don't like that. You see, reality is not predictable. And rich, evil people that like to do bad things with kids and don't want you to know about it and want to close the curtain that Trump pulled wide open, they don't want you to see what's happening. They want to shut it down. All right? They want to put baby in a corner. They want to close Pandora's box. All right. And the only way they're going to do that is through basically a global takeover. I know it sounds out there, but if you're watching, I'm sure you've heard this before. You've heard about the NWO, the New World Order. We used to call it back in the day. You remember the 90s, the 80s, early 2000, the New World Order. They're going to create a one world government. They're going to take over everything. And the lizard people are going to come and they're going to kill us all. That is what people used to say. And we used to look at them like, oh, that person needs to take some medication. But with everything that's happened and everything out in the open, and the changing of words, critical race theory, woke ideologies, the changing of definitions, this Bolshevikian, this socialist-like takeover of all of our institutions, things just start looking a little more realistic, okay? They look a little more realistic. It doesn't seem like a hoax. It doesn't seem like a conspiracy, especially when you can put the money together, when you can put 1 and 2 together. They want to change everything. They want to inject social policy into everything. They want to create a socialist world without calling it socialism, a change, an upgrade, a new form of capitalism, very much looking like communist China. And we see how that is going economically. Now, they're socialists over there, so they can push some buttons and make things look good for a little while, but it's all falling apart just as it is here. All right. The World Economic Forum, they push this whole thing. They push the Great Reset. The articles come out there. They tell us what they're going to do. They work with a group called the OECD, the Office of Economic Cooperation and Development. Ooh, that sounds extra scary. All they are Trojan horses for a worldwide socialist takeover, plain and simple. And it's not really socialism. They use socialism as a tool, all right? But really, it's just the global elites that are really cult-like, creepy people that want to do whatever the hell they want and don't want to be held accountable. They weren't held accountable for generations. The door was ripped wide open and things are coming down the pipeline. The pressure is on and they don't like the heat. So they want you to get out of their yard. And if they have to enslave the world to do so, well, why not? Biden's Build Back Better plan, it's not his. It's not his. You see, the person with the money always plans the scheduled events. The person funding everything makes the decisions. Listen, let me ask you a question. If you and your buddies were going out somewhere, and you were paying for everything, if you were taking your friends to dinner, don't you get to pick the restaurant? Do you take out 50, 60, 70 bucks and go to a Chili's with 5 people? That's probably, in today's inflation, that's probably enough for 2 people. If you go to a Chili's, right? Do you just look at them? Do you just bring them there? And do you feed them all, right? And then did you just go to some restaurant that wasn't on the menu? Did you not have any say? Like, It's just confusing to me. It's just confusing to me. I'm so glad I recovered that brain fart I almost had there. It's so confusing to me that you can literally sit there, Joe Biden can, and he can say, this is my plan, the Build Back Better plan. This is my thing right here. It's not socialism. It's not the Great Reset. It's none of these things. This is my Build Back Better. I created it. I'm Joe Biden. I am a hypochondriac. No, hypochondriac's not the word. What's the word I'm looking for? Hypocrite. That's the word I'm looking for. He's a hypocrite and a liar. Probably a hypochondriac too. But then again, you see him break his mask policy so much. I don't believe he's a hypochondriac at all. So the person with the money always plans the events. So there's the World Economic Forum, right? We talked about this. There's the OECD, just mentioned as well. These are companies we'll talk about in a second. I'll show you a couple things about them. But people fund them as well. And those are the people that actually rule the world. Again, Build Back Better. It's a socialist Trojan horse. It's a takeover. And it's not just happening here. It's happening in countries across the world. Plain and simple. The other day, I was laying down, doing some research, looking at some stuff, resting my back. And Biden came on the television. I usually have Hulu on like 24/7 because I have the news on so I can be up to date, so I can make sure I don't sound completely like an idiot while I'm doing these episodes. And I came across Joe Biden giving his Build Back Better infrastructure speech. Oh, pat myself on the back. We passed this crappy legislation. I noticed something very odd. I had to write it down. About 9 minutes in, Biden cites pretty much why he's doing certain things. He is going off certain data. And the data that he cites when he says that America is number 13th in the world in infrastructure, so he had to do something about it. He got that information from where? From the World Economic Forum. He goes, according to the World Economic Forum. All right. 9 minutes and 20 seconds in, Biden cites the OECD. He says we're 35th in education. Can you imagine what type of education the OECD wants to teach your kids? Can you imagine? I can imagine. I can tell you. They want you to have nothing and be happy. They want to train your kids to be Marxists. I'll probably say it again in this podcast, but did you know that 33% of all young people under 30 not just want Marxism, but believe in it in their being? They believe Marxism is good. They've been taught that 33% of people under 30. What's another generation? Will we be at 50%? Will we be running a socialist candidate against somebody? Will it be a socialist candidate against, I don't know, a libertarian? I mean, how crazy could this get? It could get a lot crazier than it is right now. I'll tell you that. But I heard those. I heard him say it 9 minutes and about 9 minutes and 20 seconds. And I said, that's odd. I listened to his whole 30-minute spiel. It was more like 15 minutes and then 15 minutes of him having silly questions where he looked like he was going to fall over. But really, I listened to the whole thing. I found what he cited. And I started to do a little bit of digging. All right. I really started to do a little bit of digging. And I found that the WEF, the OECD, and a company named Sampo Holdings, a company getting money, lots of money, billions of dollars from wealthy investors, rich people, and their dealings all around the world. They work hand in hand with the World Economic Forum. They work hand in hand with the Office of Economic Cooperation and Development. They work hand in hand with all the socialist bad guys you could imagine. I've got some stuff right here on it. This is actually from Times Magazine. It says the Great Reset. COVID-19 pandemic has provided a unique opportunity to think about the kind of future we want. Time Magazine partnered with the World Economic Forum to ask leading thinkers to share ideas for how to transform the way we live and the way that we work. Very, very interesting stuff. It's scary stuff. It proves that these people are in cahoots. They say it. right? It's not shocking when you call them out and you say, hey, you guys are doing some great reset stuff. They go, yeah, what are you going to do about it? That's literally where we are at. And you can see on their website, you can go to the World Economic Forum's website. They're partnered with hundreds of businesses, companies, world leaders, investors. And it makes me wonder, is it too late? Are we too late to the party? Are we just seeing it now as the shackles are closing around our wrists and ankles? This is some scary stuff. Very scary stuff. I mean, I'm looking at this paper right now. I did my research, printed out some articles, lots of notes on here. And I found some interesting stuff. This Sampo Holdings, like I said, they have ties to the WEF and the OECD, Time Magazine, more Microsoft, all these different companies. This is literally coming from Sampo Holdings. All right. These are the people funding, sending money, operations, different things, right? Different projects, planning different ways to get in the minds of your child. Remember, education, right? Remember, infrastructure. Infrastructure is no longer just buildings. It's human infrastructure. Remember, to them, it's about your happiness. Happiness, that thing that people strive for. But happiness does not always bring you purpose. Happiness can drive you insane. This article is called Redesign Capitalism to Incorporate Social Value. Redesign capitalism? That thing that's based upon our needs, on trade, on human instinct, and incorporate social value. The world was facing daunting challenges before the COVID-19 crisis. Climate change, environmental destruction, worsening inequality, and widening disparities are problems that some among us choose to downplay or dismiss. You see that attack right there at the end? Some among us choose to downplay or dismiss. Those are the Trump supporters. That's them talking about you and I. You see, they've been setting this up for years. They've got an entire network. When you go to the website, it shows that this company, this OECD, is 60 years old. It's 60 years old. COVID-19, they said, is a reckoning. It's a reckoning. All right. They see it as an opportunity, a reckoning. It was their own wake-up call, their own reveille, if you may. And they never wanted to let that crisis go to waste. They saw COVID-19. They might have even released COVID-19 alongside China. And they said, now is the time to seize power. Now is the time to take control through fear, through power. We will rule you forever. And then we can go back to, doing bad things with children, and hopefully you won't know about it anymore. They want control so that they can have their godlike freedom back. But they have another thing coming. This is scary. All right. Here, look, they try to mask this horrible statement. They use this affirmative statement to make you become open. It's like hypnotism, right? They use an affirmative statement to get your guard down, right? To warm you up, to let you go. They agree with you. You go, oh, this person's not so bad. They agree with my points. They say capitalism has lifted countless people out of poverty. However, and that's a key word. When you see the word however, my friend, however, with the great expansions of digitalization and globalization, you mean that thing that you guys wanted, globalization, capitalism has produced greater inequalities and divisions. And that is a bold lie, as statistics have shown that capitalism has raised far more people out of poverty than it ever has put in. There are plenty of statistics that you can find on that. They said that with the expansions of digitalization and globalization, capitalism has produced these greater inequalities and divisions. And capitalism itself, in its present form, is not truly contributing to the well-being of humanity. And we need to reimagine capitalism to incorporate social sustainability. Oh, that keyword right there, sustainability. Sustainability is a keyword for racism, socialism, taking people's money that they've worked hard for their whole life, stealing it from them, giving it to other people who illegally come into the country. That's sustainability to these people. All right. We have to save the planet, even though we have no idea what is happening. because nothing is happening the way we think it's happening. The Earth's going through certain cycles. And though, we might be responsible for doing better, to be better shepherds of this planet, right? We're not responsible for making ourselves into cave people again. All right. Destroying our convenience, destroying our lives, destroying our energy dependence, destroying our wealth, destroying everything just so we can be the benevolent creatures that you've always strived to be. Oh, looking down at my nose, looking down at the peasants floating above the. Yeah, listen, we're not gonna play this game. We're not. It's not going to happen. You're not going to do it to us. You're not going to make us feel better by saying, yeah, we agree, capitalism has done great things. But listen, I'm a business major. I know what that is. I know how to use transformative leadership to convince employees to do things. Right? And these folks are using certain tactics and techniques to put words together to get you to let your guard down, to soften to their ideas. They want to reimagine capitalism. They don't want to destroy it. They want to reimagine it. That's different. That's still capitalism, right? To the unintelligent, the uninformed, the dumb and dull, that's still capitalism. But you and I, we know the difference. We know the difference. It says capitalism is a socio-economic system designed to meet the demands of people, and to redesign the system, they need to create a new capitalism. And these are some of the points that should be considered. And you need to listen to this. This is some crazy stuff. It says, create a system that can generate good demand to meet the various objectives of the Sustainable Development Goals. Businesses should pursue the happiness of the whole society in line with environmental, social, and corporate governance. Why is it Nike's job to worry about my happiness? Why is it the hardware store's job to worry about my mental health? These people are sick. They're out of their mind. Capitalism is not about your feelings, and worrying about your feelings, worrying about saving the planet, and worrying about saving society as a company is only going to lead, and as you can see, if you look out your window, it already is, to the downfall of this very country, which is exactly what they want. The global elite want the downfall of all Western countries. They want us to rise up again as socialist hexscapes, socialist pits, tar pits, where we could sink into in their form, their version of free modern convenience, where we can be complacent, we can be lazy, we can own nothing, we can be happy, we can literally become the movie Idiocracy. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous stuff. I want to show you what Sampo is saying that they're working on. All right. There's a couple things back here that Sampo says they're working on. It says Sampo, remember, this is the company, the financial company, this big old Japanese company backing the WEF. I'm not sure if they're an actual financial company or an investment company, but there are a lot of links between this company, a lot of companies, this is just one of them, and the World Economic Forum and where the money is moving. It says Sampo is working to develop roadmaps for its business to generate greater economic value, to ensure that they create social value. Puts the social right into socialism, doesn't it, folks? Sampo has entered the nursing care business. The nursing care business as an investment in the future to help solve the social challenges of a rapidly aging society. Oh, you don't got to worry about grandma anymore. Sampo's determined to reform elder care and nursing homes, which in turn is going to bring greater happiness to society as a whole, because you won't have to deal with your dying, parents or grandparents anymore. Because why do we need a family that takes care of each other? That would be a family that talks to each other, that would eventually think that something is wrong, which would lead to an uprising, which, would lead to the government killing a bunch of people, which is what always happens in socialism. It says Sampo's determined to reform elder care and nursing homes. What do you think Sampo is going to do to the dead bodies of your relatives and loved ones if you're not paying attention? Sampo and the World Economic Forum and all of these crying, bleeding liberals and these world global elites, they're always being and emming about, oh, we have to save the planet. Oh, we have to solve world hunger. Well, I saw a movie once about how a company like Sampo solved world hunger. I had a very famous actor named Charlton Heston, and he said, Charlton Heston, excuse me, and he said, Soylent Green, it's people. It's people. Soylent Green is people. It's people. It's people. Listen, they're going to grind up mama, dada, grandma, and grandpa, Grammy, pappy, and mammy and daddy, and the little doggy too. And they're going to put them into little green chips, and you can go, this is a tasty grandma. That's what's going to happen. Look, obviously I'm full of it. I'm making that up. I'm not saying that I hope I'm not actually. I'm holding up, if you're listening and not watching, I'm holding up a Red Bull because I'm about to take a sip of it. But I'm trying to cover the words because I don't want people to think I'm advertising for them. And I also don't want to get sued by Red Bull. Red Bull's going to sue me. They're going to be like, James Lane, you don't represent the views, values, and culture of Red Bull. Here at Red Bull, we whip heterosexual males until they, become part of the LGBT ally experience. Folks, Sampo is on a mission of being, and this is a direct quote. This is a direct quote right here. It says, a theme park. A theme park. Theme park for security, health, and well-being. They aim to contribute to the happiness of people, society, and the planet. A theme park. A theme park of your security. Trade your rights for our version of security, freedom, and happiness. Sampo is a theme park for modern day slavery, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Sampo is. All right. It reminds me of Brondo. It's what plants crave. So, look, I've got this other article here, and it's from the World Economic Forum. And it says, to build back better. Sound familiar? To build back better, we must reinvent capitalism. Oh, look, it sounds like the same exact article, but written by someone else. Who wrote this one? Peter Bakar, the president and CEO for the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Do you see where we're going so far, my friend? Do you see what you and I are talking about? All right. I hope you're in the closet or in the garage or in your car listening to this. I hope you're watching on your cell phone at the break room at work, because people might think you're crazy. Okay, my ear is so itchy. Oh my gosh. That's the beauty of a live broadcast. I had to scratch my ear so bad for like the last 10 minutes. I'm sorry I had to break my stride there. I had to break my flow, but I was about to take this green pen and literally start stabbing myself in the earlobe. Well, not the earlobe, the ear hole, right in the ear hole. That's how bad that itched. The pandemic has brought into focus many of the vulnerabilities in our systems and institutions. This guy, Peter Bakar, he's the CEO of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Did you also notice that in the last couple of years, all of a sudden, all these job positions are appearing? The Sustainable Development Business Council leader position. My job got a diversity and inclusion executive. Some schmuck that's making 200,000 plus 300, 400,000 a year, plus probably $1 million bonus, right? To literally sit there and be a racist, to be a racist. They're not actually focusing on actual equality, actual diversity, the beauty of getting people from different places and different cultures together to put their crap aside and get a project done. That's some beautiful stuff. But to sit there and have a kumbaya fest and whine about our feelings, no, that's not diversity and inclusion. You're wasting my time at work telling me to stop working to do a 2-hour meeting about your feelings. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. They echo each other, folks. The World Economic Forum, Sambo, all of these. Is Sambo, what the? I already forgot the name. Sambo. It is Sampo. It's Sampo, excuse me. P-O, company out of Japan. Companies like Sampo, right? Companies want to reinvent capitalism. It's not just Sampo. It's hundreds of companies across the country. Hundreds and hundreds of companies want to reinvent capitalism. All right. And it's not because they don't want to make money. It's because this ideology has flowed all the way up to the leadership positions of these companies. They didn't just learn it. They've been doing this for 60 years. Remember, these websites, they say the World Economic, the OECD, they all say 60 years, 50 years. They've been around for decades. Right when the CEOs of these companies were going to school. That's some crazy stuff. Some crazy stuff. I just want to read one thing out of this. I'm not reading this whole article to you, but there's a section in here from the World Economic Forum called Future-Proofing Capitalism. All right. I told you in the beginning of this episode, Joe Biden didn't create Build Back Better. Build Back Better has been the plan sitting up. It's like when they say that they're going to build a highway through the town and nobody knows about it. And then they build the highway and they destroy everybody's normal commute. And you go, what the heck, man? Why didn't you tell me about this highway? Why didn't you tell me about this bypass, this on-ramp you were building, whatever it is? And they say, oh, the plans have been on display at the local city center for the last 6 months. And it's down 7 floors in the basement under a special, you got to put like a stone from Indiana Jones in and, fight some ethereal skeleton warrior, put the gems in the right place, get the crystal skulls together, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get to see what's happening. Build Back Better has been sitting there in the shadows the whole time. Joe Biden was told to do Build Back Better. He was handed Build Back Better. The global elite said, Joey boy, this is how we're changing the world, and you're going to be our puppet for the United States. And these other people, they'll be puppets for their country as well. This says, are you ready? Straight from the World Economic Forum. All right, don't quote me. I'm quoting them. If we don't seize this opportunity to build back better, key point, to reset and reinvent rather than return to normal, reset and reinvent, no returning to normal. Systemic risks, see that word? Systemic, critical race theory should pop in your head right there. And vulnerabilities will continue to accumulate, making future shocks both more likely and more dangerous. Despite the tragedy, we must leverage the COVID-19 pandemic. Never let a good tragedy, a good crisis, a good incident go to waste. We need to make sure that it becomes the catalyst for a profoundly positive transformation of the global economy. Worldwide takeover, folks, taking us closer to a world in which everyone can live well within planetary boundaries. Everyone can live well within planetary boundaries. Positive transformation. That's woke talk, folks. That's woke speak. Positive sustainability and transformation. Socialism. All right. This is socialism. They want to reinvent the United States and other democratic countries in the Western world because the evolved Westerners, we could do socialism better. We won't end up killing 100 million people in the 21st century. No, that couldn't happen at all. That always happens. That always happens. But even though some of the lower level pawns, they believe that, even the CEOs of some of these companies believe that, the greater higher ups, the elites, the folks that hang out with the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world, the folks that launder the money, the Hunter Bidens, that meet with the Russian diplomats that receive the $1 million from the Moscow mayors, the people like that, they just want to go back to the party. And they can't go back to the party until the door is completely shut back on you. And it will never, ever be shut again unless they completely destroy our system. And in case you don't believe me, here are some places where they've tested socialism and it hasn't worked. China, lots and lots and lots of people died there. The Soviet Union, lots and lots and lots of people died there. I'm going to Greta Thunberg you with this. I'm just going to go blah, 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 because you can Google this yourself. Well, try not to use Google. Try to DuckDuckGo it. The North Koreans, starving to death in the 90s, kind of came back, starving to death again. Not a great place. Cuba. There's a reason why people come to Florida from Cuba. They all want to get away from the suffering because socialism always ends with suffering. In fact, people cannot live a perfect world. They cannot If I remember correctly, somewhere in Genesis, in the Old Testament, after Adam and Eve eat the apple from the tree of knowledge, or the fruit, or whatever you want to call it, and after all that stuff happens, God curses them, I believe. If I remember correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, all right? I don't read every day. I do believe, but I don't read every day. But listen, he says that humans are going to be cursed to a life of like toil, trial, tribulation, hard work, effort, purpose, meaning something. And if we don't toil, we don't go through a struggle, we don't work hard, we'll never be happy. That's the actual pathway to happiness. Hard work towards some sort of destiny, towards something that you're doing to make your life mean something. But what's life mean to the 33% of people under 30 that only want socialism? I'm going to give you a quote from The Matrix before we move to the next section, because I think it's very fitting. It's so fitting that I stapled it to the back of this here, and I circled it with a red pen. That is just how important I found it. It's got the red circle, and it's from Agent Smith. It's from Agent Smith, and it's from the scene, if I remember correctly, this is from the scene where he was torturing Morpheus, where he was trying to break into his mind, and he decided to tell him the truth about the robots. If you remember correctly from The Matrix, it's all about they're living in the virtual reality world when in fact, the real world has been destroyed. All right. And they're dealing with these robots, and these robots created this perfect world for us. And this is what Agent Smith, one of these robots, these rogue computer programs, had to say. He said, "Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? It was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world. But I believe that, as a species, human beings define their reality through suffering and misery. The perfect world was a dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from, which is why the Matrix was redesigned to this, the peak of our civilization." Ladies and gentlemen, it's very, very important that you heed those words, even though they're from a movie. Humans, all right, human beings do not survive in a perfect environment, in a perfect world. Look how insane the people that don't need anything are. The well-off celebrities, the rich celebrities that have all the attention, that have everything they need. Look how out of their mind they are. We can't even comprehend the logic that they use to make their decisions. We can't even comprehend it because it doesn't exist. And all the while, they think we're the crazy ones. They're floating around thinking that they're holier than thou. But they don't even understand the same level of thinking. They don't even understand where we're coming from because they don't follow, like I've said in previous episodes, the same core values. They don't follow the same life. They live in their own genre, their own subset of existence, and they don't relate to us. They don't understand normal people, the millions and millions and millions of Americans that just want to feed their families, work hard, and feel good about themselves. Maybe do something one day that brings them a little bit of purpose and happiness. Maybe get to a retirement and pay for their kids to do something really good. Maybe see them succeed and do better. Or maybe build that boat one day. Just something that gives their life some little iota of meaning. And you sit there atop your throne with nothing, with no meaning. And you judge us, and you look down your nose at us. So no, the perfect world doesn't exist, and your perfect world is just about to come crashing down. Woo! That was a good one, huh? That was a good segment, folks. That's the end of segment 1. I got to get a sip of this. I really mean that. I mean everything I put there. Bullet pointed down, talked about, read in the articles. There's connections, all right? There's connections. They give away their plans. You're going to see it. You're going to see it in the next section. The Democrats always show their hand, before they play it. They always do. They're like bad guys. All right, they're like bad guys from the Austin Powers movie. Austin Powers, yes. Before I kill you with these sharks with laser beams, let me reveal my entire evil, diabolical plan to you over the next 2 years and 47 days, 36 minutes and 27 seconds, which should give you more than enough time to escape. The whole, if we're smart, all right, let me back up. If we're smart, we'll take heed of the Democrats' version of Back to the Future's Gray's Sports Almanac. We'll call it Gray's Political Sports Almanac 2021 through 2024. And I mean it. I really mean it. They put this stuff out there. They really do. All right. Biden sits there. He sits there. He talks in his speech and he goes, oh, the World Economic Forum said this. All right. And the OECD, they said that. And we got to jump because they are the leading experts. They are the ones in control. They have the best ideas. They have the best plans. They really do, don't they? No, they don't. Because they're all into socialism. They're all into wokeness, critical race theory. When you go onto the OECD's website, they talk about inclusion, diversity, being a team member for the LGBT communities. And you know what that actually means isn't that you're fine with the LGBT folks doing their own thing. I'm fine with everybody having their own community and culture. You want to live in peace? Kumbaya. Kumbaya. All right. But when you tell me I can't be myself anymore, I can't have my culture, and my friends can't have their culture, and that black guy can't have his culture, and that Asian girl can't have her culture. We all must believe in your culture, your inclusive alphabet mafia, garbage world elite culture where you want to destroy genders, destroy schools, destroy everything. You've already destroyed most of it. I don't want to live in that world. I refuse to live in that world, and the majority of people refuse to live in that world. It's a world that's being shoved down our throats by the hundreds and thousands of rich elites that fund these companies all around the world. These woke companies are going to be the destruction of our species. All right? They are. But this is the whole point of segment 2. This is the whole point. If we know the future, if we know what's coming, if the Democrats are telling us what they plan, can't we stop it? Don't you think if we had the Gray Sports Almanac from Back to the Future 2, not only could we win the lotto, maybe we could stop a war, maybe we could stop a controversy, a fight, maybe we could stop people from losing their homes, their families, from this horrible crash that's on its way. All of these things, we could probably stop it. But more people need to pay attention. More people need to pay attention to this left-wing crystal ball that they've given us. They always brag. They always look down their nose at us. They look at us like peasants. They think we're idiots. They think that we're unevolved. They think that we're cavemen and women. Why? Because we don't live in cities all the time? Because not all of us want to take public transportation everywhere? Maybe some of us live 10 miles from the next town, not 10 feet from the next town. Maybe some people don't have neighbors for 10 miles, not neighbors 10 feet away. You know, there isn't a one-size-fits-all thing for everybody in this country. This country's beautiful because it's split into so many different places, people, regions, cultures. There's something for everybody. They don't want that, though. They don't want that at all. Just a random thought, by the way. People that believe in aliens out there. What if gray aliens were us from the future trying to figure out how to save our species from this moment right now, when everybody decided to become this one world, new world order, crazy freaking group, right? This whole great reset group where everybody's got to live under the same code. We all got to be the same pretty color of gray. Genders don't exist anymore. Kind of sounds like a gray space alien to me. I don't know. I just thinking about it just randomly came to my head, but it could be a thing. Crazier things have happened. If you told me that Godzilla came out of the ocean and attacked Tokyo, I might believe you. 2021 has been strange. It's been strange. All right. And the strangest part, at least I think, is that people all around are still not paying as much attention as they should. So I found something to help wake them up. Something that I think will help wake them up indeed. And what do you know? If you don't believe me and you're on the left, this comes straight out of the Times Magazine as well. What do you know? What do you know? It's even called The Great Reset, Time 2030. It says it's 2023, and here's exactly how we fixed the global economy. Oh, frickin' sharks with frickin' laser beams, Mr. Bigglesworth. What in the blue heck do they think they're doing? Do they want to win or do they want to lose? Are they just counting on us? Are they that into themselves that they're counting on us to be so stupid that we don't see their plan? All right. This is the Gray Sports Almanac. It's already been going on. It was written in October 21st, 2020. All right. That is over a year ago, just over a year ago. So we've had a year to let some of this stuff come true. They link fear with the virus. They're using the back door. It says the year is 2023. The COVID-19 pandemic has come to an end and the global economy is on the path to recovery. So how did we get here? How did our economy and society evolve to overcome the greatest crisis of our age? You see, they're already writing a novel. This is literal Hollywood nonsense. But some of it may have come true so far, because how would they have known about certain things? It says in an echo of the golden age of capitalism, the period after 1945, when Western nations steered finance towards the right parts of the economy, it became clear that new policies were needed to address climate risks. So in 1945, they were screaming climate change, incentivized green lending, scale up financial institutions, and tackling social and environmental goals, and ban financial sector activity that didn't serve a clear public purpose, right? So the financial sector can no longer make money. It has to have something to do with the social welfare of all the little peons out there. That's great. That's great. You and I and all the other peons out there, I don't want anything from them. Don't they understand that? Get out of my business. Get out of my house. Get out of my computer. Get out of my pocket. Get out of my head. I don't need you. I don't need your bailout. I don't need the government to come to me and tell me how to live my life. But they need you. The elites need you, and the elites want you bad. They should do that Uncle Sam mural that shows Uncle Sam and he's pointing his finger. It's for the military. It says, "We want you. We want you. We want you to come right now and serve." There should be Jeffrey Epstein, like in that American flag kind of vest, but with it open, with his, little crack belly hanging out like a Hunter Biden picture. Maybe it shouldn't even be Jeffrey. It should just be Hunter Biden, right? Hunter Biden wearing that outfit with a sign, with a sign of white powder coming off of his nose. It looks like he hasn't slept in weeks. His shirt's all ripped open and he's shiny. All those people that have been high and up for days, they always look shiny. He looks greasy, right? Ugh, right? And he's like, "We want you. We want you." That's what it should be changed to. That's what our world is becoming. All right. It says they wanted to ban the financial sector. Like I said, they want to ban the financial sector from doing things that don't serve the public. But who gets to determine who serves the public? It says the European Union was the first to take concrete steps in this direction after agreeing in August to a historic 1.8 trillion euro recovery package. And don't ask me to convert that. I'm not going to do it. I don't know. As part of the package, the EU made it mandatory for governments receiving the funds to implement strategies for addressing climate change. You see that? That's how they recover? Climate change? Again, where is the proof? This approach led to a resurgence of new energy-efficient buildings, revamped public transport designed to be sustainable, accessible, and free, and an artistic revival in public squares, with artists and designers rethinking city life with citizenship and civic light at its heart. They literally are imagining, this is them predicting what's going to happen. They're imagining that Europe turned into San Angeles complex. Before the big quake, it was San Andreas, it was Los Angeles and San Diego, and everything fell into the ocean. And now we're in the movie Demolition Man. Oh, where's one get a burger around here, eh? Hey, yo, Demolition Man. I didn't break the law. Wait, that's Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd, I didn't break the law. I am the law. That's Demolition Man, is the one where he's got to go to Taco Bell with a bunch of rich socialists, because all restaurants after the wars, right? What was it? They said after it was after the fast food wars or after the restaurant wars, the only franchise that was to survive was Taco Bell. So now all restaurants are Taco Bell, and now they're in there, and he's basically a conservative sitting around a bunch of socialist lefties, and they're in this foo-foo fancy richy restaurant with this band, down in the valley of the giant, the jolly green giant, and he wants to hang himself, and then he has to go fight Dennis Leary. That's what's happening. You're going to make a bunch of people live in the sewers and then rob Taco Bells to eat. That is the socialist future they're imagining. That's what happens when you follow the Build Back Better plan. All right? They're just attacking Trump. They underhandedly attack Trump in this article a bunch. It talks about the U.S. changing its ways after the November 3rd, 2020 election. Joe Biden defeats Donald Trump in a presidential election. The Democrats holding the majority. They change things. They move quickly. They rebuild the frayed ties between America and Europe. They set up a forum. Do you remember when Joe Biden was over in Europe early in his presidency, kissing their butt? Europe is so much better than America. Europe is so much stronger than America. Europe is so much cooler than America. Europe, I wish I was like you, Europe. That's what he did, and it says it right here, except it didn't really have the effect that it wanted him to, or that he wanted it to. Nothing that Biden does has any effect. Nothing. Own nothing and be happy. Own nothing and be happy. That's what they want. That's what the global elites want for you. That is the Great Reset in a nutshell. We are going to take everything from you. We're going to take it from you. We're going to take it from you, and we're going to give $450,000 to illegal immigrants that cross the border. Bold conditions placed on the governance of intellectual property, pricing, and manufacturing of COVID-19 treatments. You see that? Bold conditions placed on the governance of intellectual property. You can't take ivermectin. You can't take hydrochloroquine. It's hard to get all the other stuff. Hard governance placed. Bold conditions were placed on the governance of intellectual property. The government controls who gets medications. You aren't in control of your health, my friend. I'm not in control of my health, my friend. The government is. Daddy Biden, Big Daddy Joey, gets to tell me how I have to live my life, what I have to put into my body, where I go, what I do, how I sleep, how I eat, and where I work. Or else. When the vaccine was ready for distribution, national health authorities worked constructively with a coalition of global health actors led by the WHO and Bill Gates. Look, they just did my job for me. It's over. Look, Bill Gates is right here. It's all here, folks. We're not crazy. We're not all Alex Jones. Alex Jones isn't even crazy. The problem with Alex Jones is he drinks a lot, and then he goes, oh, they're coming, the lizard people, they're going to take the spaceship. If he just kind of sat there and calmly went over a list like I am, they'd be like, that's a little out there, but maybe we'll do some research. I'm just kidding, Alex. I love you. I wish I could be like you. I'm not. But that being said, Alex Jones usually gets proved right. And I think with all the jokes I just made, that's the best compliment I could give him, because it's the truth. It's the truth. It's scary, but true. Bill and Melinda Gates, he talked about baby parts being used. He talked about human-animal hybrids in China. It all came out as true. They tried to debunk it on Rogan's podcast, on other places. Nope. Alex Jones was right again indeed. It says that they want Bill and Melinda Gates to use their powers to collectively devise an equitable, that's a racist word right there, equitable global distribution plan. Equitable means they're going to be racist against white people and conservative minorities and make sure they're screwed. That's basically what that means. Whenever you see equity, it means if you're conservative and you're brown, you're evil. And if you're white, you're evil. That's what equity means. They literally, this article, it goes on and on about, oh, Biden, he's the great guy. He saved everything. He fixed everything. None of the stuff about Afghanistan is in here. Obviously, nobody could predict that, but nobody could predict how ridiculously low on oxygen Joe Biden's brain was. Or is he? Like I said, through this whole thing, I don't know if he's really got dementia. I think he's just trying to keep himself out of jail while they play his puppet strings, while he does the bidding of the World Economic Forum, of companies around the world with a vested interest in this, of like that Sampo company and other companies, Amazon's, the Microsofts, right? The World Economic Forum, the Office of Economic Co-Development, whatever, all of these people, all right, all of these folks working together, fantasizing about Joe Biden and his victories. It's sick. It's sick. This is literally, you got like 4 paragraphs before this where they're just pontificating about how glorious Joe Biden is. How glorious. All right. Look, we're going to play some Nostradamus games here. All right. We're going to be Nostradamus. All right. I got the beard for it. Right. Let me get the mustache fixed. Let me just pull that out there. Nostradamus. Here I am. I'm predicting the future. Don't ask me to turn this into quatrains. All right. Those freaking, he will fall. None will rise. Nobody knows, but Biden lies. His hair is gray. His head, it's balding. He really doesn't look like the clown from House of a Thousand Corpses, Captain Spaulding. I don't know. I can't rhyme it. I did the best I could. I tried. That was on the fly. It's not written down here. They just wish for doom. We're going to read the future. This is where they tell us what they're going to do in 2022. All right. They're telling us that bailouts are coming. It says it in here. A crash is coming, folks. It literally says that the economic world starts falling apart right about now. And bailouts are going to come. All right. It says in the summer of 2022. All right. The other major crisis of our age took a turn for the apocalyptic. So next summer, they're saying that the climate breakdown finally lands in the developed world, testing the resilience of social systems. In the Midwest U.S., a severe drought wipes out crops that supplied 1/6 of the world's grain output. People woke up to the need for governments to form a coordinated response to climate change. That, my friends, is called the New World Order. That is one world government. That is the Great Reset. Right there. They are hoping, begging to make a crisis. You heard me. I said make a crisis, because if the climate doesn't actually fall apart, we will have a COVID-19 level news pandemic in 2022 about the climate. COVID-19 was the test to see how we will react. 2022 will be the actual exam. All right. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy stuff. They wish for doom. They dream of doom. If only the climate would explode and they could take over the world that much quicker. They see that they show here ambitious Green New Deal programs come out of this. R&D for sustainable programs is done. Grants and loans to stimulate innovation. Governments try to figure out poverty and inequality. And we rid the ocean of plastics and we reduce the digital divide. Oh my gosh. They're out of their mind. It says the concept of social infrastructure became as important as physical infrastructure for the energy transition. Remember, the Biden $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill is transitioning us to this clean energy, which is garbage, because somewhere something has to generate the electricity. And it usually has big spinny things and a lot of smoke. Just saying. And then what happened? what happened? They focused on the future of mobility, and all of the sticks, your little hometown, wherever you are, in the Midwest, in the South, everywhere, every single place, your deer trail, everywhere, where you go hunt, where you go fish, where you go to the store, everywhere, got these awesome platforms for public transportation, for bicycle paths. So you out there in the middle of nowhere in Texas, you can have to worry about some idiot on a bicycle path in the road out behind the cornfield 20 miles from everywhere. How wonderful cycling paths will be, pedestrian pathways, new ways to stimulate healthy living, because everything, everyone, everywhere is LA. Everything, everyone, everywhere is New York. How about you let Nebraska be Nebraska? How about you let Arizona be Arizona? How about you let Dakota be Dakota? How about you let Florida be Florida? But no, it's their way or the highway. You see, at the end of the day, it's a controlling spouse, an evil ex, a person manipulating you, saying you're going to be with me. You're going to hold my hand. You're going to be my arm piece, my candy. You're going to shut your mouth. You're going to do what I say. And that is that. It's my way or the highway. That, my friend, that is the Democrat way. That is the Green New Deal way. That's the Great Reset way. That's the NWO way. That's the Times Magazine World Economic Forum way. That is the way. You can put any name on it, any label on it. You can do anything you want to make it sound prettier. But the truth is the truth. The last thing on here is about Marxist training camps. It says government jobs become so desirable and competitive, this is the end of 2022, that a new curriculum is formed for a global master in public administration, a degree for people who want to become civil servants. So they will be trained to do their job correctly, trained in sustainability, trained to bring in the new normal, to bring in the new way of life, the socialist Great Reset. They'll be trained for sustainability. But what is this racism, this reset, this sustainability? What is it based on? What is it based on? Is it based on really helping people, really making people happy? No, it's based on turning you into a battery. Just like they said in The Matrix, it's based on making you shut up, sit in your chair, and be the complacent people from the movie, sitting on the cruise ship in outer space, 700 pounds, watching reality television show on your iPad. That's what they want. So they can literally leech and suck the money out of you, line their pockets, and go play in the sandbox with their kitties. That is what these elites want. Don't let them. They want this. They want this, folks. They want your freedom in exchange for what they call your happiness. But I promise you, it will not be what you think it is. It won't. It won't at all. You see, these elites, they live a very different life, right? They live a life of opulence. They do what they want, when they want. The rules that apply to you and I, they don't apply to them. If they got a hankering for sushi right now, they could hop on their private jet and fly across the ocean. And half the time you and I could, they're not going to get into a fight over masks on the plane. They're not going to have their 2-year-old kicked off of an American Airlines flight because the 2-year-old can't wear a mask because they have special needs. These people do what they want, when they want. Donald Trump changed that. And they want it back. They want it back, folks. That's the main truth. The elite technocrats behind the global Great Reset. I want to read you some names here. This is coming from the World Economic Forum. All right? I want to give you an idea. This is from the UN Agenda 2030. All right? It talked about stuff from back in the day. This is just June 29th, 2020. There's much more recent stuff. But the old stuff always has the lies that weren't covered up. It always has the stuff that they miss that might be scrubbed now. So you want to look back and see who's actually working here. Number one, right? The first leading partner. All right. These are literally the companies and the people working with the Great Reset folks, the World Economic Forum, the OECD, all these people. or the OECD, excuse me. The first leading partner is Bill and Melinda Gates, their foundation. All right. And do you know who works with them? I'll give you a guess. Did you get it? The Rockefeller Foundation, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, the Ford Foundation, Bloomberg Philanthropies, the UN Foundation, and the Open Society Foundation. These are folks that are all about eugenics, population control. These are groups that literally think they're going to save the world by manipulating you and me. How about Avanti Communications? This is the second partner. That's a big company. The third partner is 2030 Vision. It's a tech partnership. All right, it connects them with companies like Microsoft, SAP, Frontier 2030 is a partnership that connects cross-sector organizations to advance technology solutions. Soylent Green is people. The fourth partner is Google. They provide all the cloud computing, AI solutions, and data on you and I that the Great Reset folks could ever dream to want and have. And they have it. They have it indeed. Of course, the fifth partner is MasterCard. It's MasterCard. It's CEO Ajay Singh Banga, and he's a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. And he's also, he's also on the International Business Council for the World Economic Forum. And he is the CEO of MasterCard. Wolves right in our backyard. Wolves right in our backyard. Number 6, Salesforce, the company Salesforce. It's headed by a guy named Mark Benioff. All right, he's also one of the board of directors for the World Economic Forum. That's an American company, and he's on the board of directors for the people that Joe Biden quoted who are pushing the Great Reset, the destruction of capitalism, the downfall of the United States of America, and the replacement of it with a socialist heck hole. A socialist heck hole. I hope when I read about the FCC this upcoming week, because this upcoming week's going to be real fun. We got a lot of new technology coming in, new cameras, new everything. We're going to start going live very soon. I hope that we... I hope I lost my thought there. Oh my gosh. All right. You know what? Instead of wasting time and trying to ruin the show because I lost my thought, I'm going to get right back onto this. They have UNICEF in here. All right. UNICEF's in here as well. The United Nations Children Fund. So they can lie to you and tell you they're helping the kiddies. The UN global goals and leading partners are closely intertwined with the World Economic Forum's fourth industrial revolution. That's literally what they call this whole thing that's happening with the Great Reset and COVID and this upcoming thing. They call it the fourth industrial revolution. All right. It's a transhumanist plan. It's, quote, going to redefine what it means to be a human. It's going to redefine life in general. Every aspect of your life will be monitored and controlled by the government, and it will be for the betterment of humanity. It's in here. This is literally coming from Klaus Schwab. All right. He runs the entirety of the World Economic Forum. In its most pessimistic, dehumanized form. I have to say that because he looks like that. He looks like one of the bad guys from the original, like John Wick, like one of those Russian dudes. In its most pessimistic, dehumanized form, the fourth industrial revolution may indeed have the potential to robotize humanity and thus deprive us all of our hearts and souls. Again, that's what they want. They want to deprive us of our hearts and souls. They want to reset us all. They want us to be reset into a digital form, a currency-controlled, government-controlled digital form of slavery. Plain and simple. That's what they want. That's where this is heading. It's heading towards slavery. It's heading towards the destruction of our way of life. It's heading towards the socialist replacement of the United States of America. And if you don't believe me, I want you to think about something. All right? There's a lot of frustrated elites out there. And they're calling for drastic actions against regular citizens because they're fighting. All right? They're fighting the coming reckoning. Not the reckoning they mentioned earlier in this episode, but the reckoning that I'm mentioning. The reckoning that shows that the veil was lifted, the door was open, and we saw the emperor with no clothes. We saw what was going on behind the scenes, and it was disgusting, it was evil, and it deserved to be removed from society. They know what happens when the peasants get upset and try to overthrow the small group of people running things. They don't want that to happen. They want to go back to running the show in quiet, in solitude, in peace, behind the scenes, so they can do all the bad stuff that they've always done while still profiting off your back. And now they found a much more economic way to do it, by basically stuffing you in a tube of goop, like in the movie The Matrix, putting a bunch of plugs in you, sticking the thing down your throat, and trapping you in a virtual world while they extract energy from you, your labor, while they extract money from you to fund their evil debauchery. Trump revealed the truth about the elites. He revealed the man behind the curtain. And that's why Trump was taken out. He wasn't taken out because of he's got mean tweets, right? It's not the mean tweets. That's what they convinced all of the close-minded folks in this country that can't think beyond being offended and don't actually know what good policy looks like and good things around the world actually look like. No. He revealed the truth about the elites, and the elites want to do everything in their power to close the door as quickly as possible. They took him out, plain and simple. They took the president out and installed Joe Biden. And if you think that elites can't take people out, if you think they don't call for this kind of thing, then why is Prince Charles calling for a vast military-style campaign by the elites to achieve global, fundamental economic transition? That's right. That is right. They literally are going to do everything in their power to destroy our way of life and replace it. Prince Charles is begging for it. The United Kingdom's Prince Charles calls for a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector, using the trillions that it has at its disposal, far beyond global GDPs, to fundamentally transition economies around the planet. And he wants to do this because there's a climate problem going on. There's a world problem going on. No, the problem is that the world has their eyes on you, elites, on you, Prince Charles, on you, Bill and Hillary Clinton, on you, all of you. The world is watching. Prince Charles, he calls for this vast military-style campaign. He says, "My plea today is for countries to come together to create the environment that enables every sector of industry to take the actions required. We know this will take trillions, not billions, but trillions. We know that countries, many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green. But that's okay. This is socialism. Wealth redistribution. Here, we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of global private sectors. Trillions at its disposal, far beyond the GDP, with the greatest respect, beyond even the governments, beyond even world leaders. This group is the only thing that would offer the real prospect of achieving fundamental economic transition." But they're not doing it because they care about the planet. They don't actually care. Chuck Schumer was just seen with no mask at a big event. All of these folks don't actually follow what they preach. None of it's real. They just want to go back to playing with kids on their yachts. I know it's hard to hear, but it's the truth. Prince Charles' brother. You remember Andrew? Prince Andrew? Does that ring a bell? Jeffrey Epstein? Epstein Island? All the abuse? UK heir apparent Prince Charles believes sexual assault allegations against Prince Andrew are an unsolvable problem that will forever bar his brother from returning to public life. He literally molested underage children. He's a pedophile. He just went to he's exiled from public life. They don't actually care. You see, these elites cover for each other. He might disappear for a little while, but he'll resurface. No one's going to jail. No one's being held accountable. These women are traumatized their whole life, all because they were being worked by the cabal, by the front man, the money man, Jeffrey Epstein. And he's dead for a reason. He's dead because he probably could have pointed and dialed some phone numbers, and somebody may have picked up that sounded like this. Hello? Well, that was actually, I was trying to do an impression of Bill Clinton, and it came out like an old prospector. I am the old prospector. That's not Bill Clinton. We're not even going to try again, because I'll just sit here on a side tangent trying to do Bill Clinton impersonations for 20 minutes. All right? Look. His brother says, all right, this is Charles. This came from last year. He said about Andrew after all the allegations. I'm bringing into this on purpose because we're talking about the connection to Epstein. All right. I'm bringing you this on purpose because his brother said about him, this guy that sexually abused young people, somebody that was on Epstein Island, somebody where there's pictures that has never been cleared of their guilt. They said that Prince Charles loves his brother, Andrew. He has the ability to have sympathy for the slings and arrows that his brother endures, the slings and arrows that his brother endures, which means he doesn't think his brother deserves punishment. He's enduring this. He's a brave, strong man to go through what he's going through after his bout of pedophilia. Do you know who loves a pedophile besides the alphabet mafia? Another pedophile loves a pedophile. Nobody else likes a pedophile. I think we're all pretty clear that pedophiles should be subjected to capital punishment. Plain and simple. I believe that. I believe that 100%. I actually, one of my new writers, Brian Cornetius, I believe that's the best way to say it. And if not, I'm sure he'll correct me. But he wrote an article about bringing capital punishment to Texas to take care of the pedophile problem. You should check it out on www.americanreveille.com. It's a good little article. He's a new writer getting his feet wet, and you should really check it out. It's a good read. But I agree with him. That's why I published it. I agree with him. Pedophiles, somebody touching your children, sniffing your children, playing with your children, getting your child alone, raping your child, they should be subjected to capital punishment. Plain and simple. It should be the law. That's my belief. And if you're listening to this show and you're a loyal listener, I bet you agree. All right. These folks, Charles, Andrew, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Bill Gates. Bill and Melinda got divorced. One of the reasons cited was his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Although his wife is out there spending billions of dollars on changing this world into a socialist hexscape as well. But that's, only because these folks think that that's what needs to be done. They believe in it. That's their religion. They love it. They want it. Some of them truthfully believe that they'll save the world. They have all the answers. They're rich, and they'll have purpose in taking away everybody else's purpose to supposedly make them happy. And when that doesn't work, they'll just execute everybody. That's how that works. They don't want global socialism because they want to save the planet. They want global socialism because they're humans. They're only human. They want global socialism for CYA. And if you don't know what that means, they want global socialism to cover their butts. They want to go back into the shadows. It's more fun in the shadows with $1 billion. Again, Trump revealed the truth about the elites. Trump revealed them. He revealed the man behind the curtain. They'll do whatever it takes to end. Joe Biden, through his connections, is connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Plain and simple. Sign the check. Do not pass go. Do not collect $2,000. Remember, they're not socialists. They use socialism as a tool. All right. The elites are many, many things. All right. They're hypocrites. They're liars. They're thieves. Right. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They're guilty of ego. They're guilty of this affluent feeling of being better than you, looking down their nose, sneering at you. They're guilty of all that, but they're not actual socialists. The elites are just that. They're elites. They want no rules, no restrictions, no ramifications. The elites want to be gods again. And Trump took that away from them. He took that away. So this lab leak, what a coincidence. What a coincidence. And Steve Bannon loves to say there's no such thing as coincidence. What a coincidence. Use the pandemic to find a way to trade your freedom and my freedom for the promise of ease, happiness, and abundance. It's all fake. It's all lies. It's not real. It will never happen. We won't let it happen. Because if it does, if they win, we will never, ever, ever be free again. I want to read this quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. I put this together for the end of it. I think it's very important that you understand why I read that Matrix quote, why I'm talking about suffering, why I'm talking about happiness not being the point of existence. It's good to be happy, but life is about experiencing the gamut of emotions. You'll never be truly 100% happy. You have to experience everything to be a balanced individual. Ralph Waldo Emerson says the purpose of life is not to be happy. It's to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, and to have it make some difference that you've lived and lived well. Socialists want a perfect, happy world. And that happy, perfect world doesn't exist. And when they realized it doesn't exist, you know what they do? They kill their toys, right? They stuff them in the toy box and never take them out again. You're not supposed to always be happy. You're supposed to seek meaning. You're supposed to seek God. And that's episode 179 of American Reveille with James Lane. And I hope you learned something from this episode. I hope you see the trail. I hope you see all the hard work I put to show you where these breadcrumbs lead. Where these breadcrumbs lead. There's websites out there. You can go to the World Economic Forum website. You can go to the co-development website. You can go to all of these places, all these different companies, Times Magazine, everything. They're all linked. It's all there. If you want to see some more evidence, email me directly, jameslane@AmericanReveille.com. I'll be happy to send you some sources. I'll be happy to send you on the rabbit hole journey that I've been on for the last 2 years. I promise you, it's not easy to come out of because it's all happening. It's all real. The more you read, the more terrifying it becomes. And it's truly terrifying. The most terrifying question of them all is it too late? Hundreds of countries, hundreds of companies, over 100 countries, governments all around the world. They're all infiltrated. They're all changing. They're all being changed into socialist countries. Something is happening. And whether it's too late or not, I don't know. But one thing I do know is that we're Americans. Americans are stubborn. Americans are resourceful. Real Americans don't quit. They don't give up. They find a way. And just like I'm going to find a way around this censorship to fight back using AM radio and some other tactics, we're all going to find a way to push back against the global elites. And I'm going to be there to help, and you're going to be there to help me, and we're going to do this together. All right? Remember, do me a favor with all the socialism and all of the censorship going on. I said socialism by accident instead of censorship, but they both go well. So with all the socialism and all the censorship, do me a favor. All right. Look, I love it if you subscribe and you hit the like button, you leave comments and ratings and all that stuff, but it doesn't all get through. They censor the heck out of me. So go to the website, AmericanReveille.com. I built the site. I worked so hard to put it together for you. I want you to enjoy it. We've got so many new articles coming out all the time. AmericanReveille.com, REVEILLE.com. We're a digital publication. We're a radio show. We're going to become a radio show. We're going live soon. This is going to be fantastic. We're bringing on more writers. If you want to write, send me an email, jameslane@AmericanReveille.com. I'm looking for bloggers. I'm looking for the perspective of the conservative, everyday, blue-collar patriot. And if you're that and you like to write, give me an email. Send me an email, jameslane@AmericanReveille.com. But go to the site, American Reveille, REVEILLE.com. Bookmark it, write it down, do whatever you have to do, because you may not see me in your social media feed all the time. They take me out of it. My videos, I make videos all the time. I bet you don't see them. That's because YouTube and all these other companies pull them right out of your feed. bookmarking the site and signing up for the newsletter gets you uncensored and unfiltered access to me absolutely free, 100% free, 24/7. All right, folks, I'm here for you. I appreciate everything that you've done for me. And if you need anything from me, reach out. Like I said, James Lane at AmericanReveille.com. So I'd like to say thank you again. I hope you have a great night. I hope you have a great week. We're going to be filming some content. I'm going to be taking some new art photos. We're getting some new equipment here in the next couple days. You're going to have a major video upgrade in the next week or two because we are getting an amazing camera sent to us, an amazing camera. No longer will we be using this $100 webcam because we have a Vixia G50 on the way for American Reveille. I'm so excited. You're going to see every blemish on my face, just like you can see the threading on Ben Shapiro's yarmulke. So until next week, or maybe next time, we might have some different episodes coming out even earlier, some surprises for you. But until next week, this is James Lane, American Reveille, and I will see you on episode 180 next week. Have a good one. Bye.